at Red Rocks Community College. I want to acknowledge Angie Piccioni, the head of Colorado Higher Education, and Noel Ginsberg is with us as well. Does a lot of great work, and of course our terrific legislators. So the first bill that we have today expands adult education through grants. And I want to thank Senator Zenzinger, Representative McLaughlin, Representative Catlin, and Senator Rankin for this really important bipartisan bill. You know, adult literacy programs across Colorado are doing a great job helping adult learners learn English. And that's really what it's all about. Our new arrivals really want to learn English. And we have to make sure that they have the opportunity to be literate and fluent in the English language with all of the opportunities that comes with. This bill supports all kinds of learners' aspirations, things like passing licensing exams, or getting jobs, or being able to help with their own kids' education. This is really about Colorado for all, and making sure that all folks who come here, no matter where they're from, have the advantage of being able to speak and write and read in the English language. And with that, we'll turn it over to the chief sponsor, Senator Rachel Zenzinger.
Well, it is a real pleasure to be here today. I want to thank President Haney for hosting us here at Red Rocks Community College, and I also want to thank a couple of key stakeholders, in particular the Spring Institute, and we have some representatives that are from the Spring Institute that are going to be here today, that are here today, that are going to address you. They are the ones that brought the idea to my office to take a look at our adult education and to think about expanding the policies around that program. It was my pleasure to be able to actually carry the bill back in 2014 that established the adult education program here in Colorado. We were in fact the last state in the nation to have state-sponsored adult education in the United States. So we were very glad that we were able to get that added to our law books, and we have a very robust program here in Colorado with adult education providers all across the state. And initially, we were very excited with this bill to be able to provide some extra resources to adult education, because the funding for adult education in Colorado has also not changed since we implemented the bill back in 2015. That was the plan, and then the coronavirus hit, and the state ended up being $3.3 billion less in our revenues. However, the bill did a couple of other things as well, and it wasn't just contingent on the resources that we were hoping to increase. The bill made some statutory and policy changes that we actually think are amazing, and it's part of the reason why we are here today at Red Rocks Community College, because one of the significant changes that we made to the program is that we formalized and codified a relationship with our community college system and adult education. Because community colleges are open access institutions, and we want to make sure that we're creating smooth transitions from adult learning into a post-secondary opportunity. And community colleges are one of the best places to do that. Secondly, we also formalized this concept known as two generations. So recognizing that our adult learners have unique challenges. And those challenges are often having families and having to provide for your families, while also working and trying to obtain a post-secondary education. This is extremely difficult if you're one of the 300,000 adults in Colorado that do not even have a high school diploma. And 40% of that population does not even have a 9th grade education. And so this bill is really helping to improve access for our adults so that they can obtain that adult basic education, so that they can transition smoothly into a post-secondary option, so that they can actually provide better for their families. And integrating the two-generational approach also ensures that these successes will translate into the success of their children as well, so that we get the children of these adult learners transitioning and moving on into a post-secondary education as well. So I am super excited that we were still able to get this bill across line, despite the fact that we were not able to put the financial resources towards it that we were hoping to. Hopefully that is to come. In the meantime, I just want to say thank you to everybody that is here and that supported this bill. We had 13 or 14 different groups across the state that really worked hard on this policy, and it wouldn't have been possible without them. So thank you.
So Paula Schriefer from Spring Institute, I know, wants to talk about this bill. Paula and the Spring Institute does really important work in adult literacy in our state. When I was starting New America School over 20 years ago now, we worked with Spring Institute and got originally a lot of the curricular materials for English language learners. And we're welcome, Paula.
Well, thank you so much. I am so thrilled to be here today. I know it probably doesn't seem like a long time to Senator Zenzinger, but I feel like we've been talking about this bill for years, and it's much, much needed. This bill is so important for adult learners in the state of Colorado, and in addition to the 300,000 plus individuals who lack a high school equivalency in our state, we have over 350,000 individuals with limited English proficiency who desperately need accessible adult education to be able to advance themselves and their families. So this is the first time that state funding is going to allow programs that support individuals with a range of learning needs, including, as was already mentioned, parents who want to help their kids do better in school, as well as individuals who just want to be more engaged in their neighborhoods and their communities and be good citizens and be good residents. So that's really, really exciting. As was also mentioned, Colorado was 50th out of 50 in terms of states funding adult education, which is never a good place to be. And we also remain one of the lowest funded states in the country for adult education. So yes, we were really hopeful that we'd get some additional funding this year. Obviously, this was not the year that was going to happen. We are very grateful that we are able to maintain funding levels for adult education in our state, which typically serves about 1,000 people out of our whole state's population every year. But it will broaden this scope, and it really will expand opportunities to other people. So we're going to celebrate this win. We vow as Spring Institute to keep working on the funding issue down the road, but right now we're just happy that this bill is being signed. We're so grateful to Senator Zenzinger as well as Senator Rankin and the other co-sponsors, Representatives McLaughlin and Catlin, and of course we're very grateful to our governor for signing this bill today. So thank you.
Let's make it the law of Colorado. Oh yeah, here we go. It's official. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thanks for all your work on this bill.
So the next bill is about use of national test scores in admission. I want to thank Representative Kipp, who's with us from Fort Collins, Representative Baisley, Senator Story, and of course Senator Zenzinger for their work on this important bill, which gives flexibility to Colorado institutions next year in the admissions process, because we know that the class of 2021 has been uniquely impacted by the COVID crisis. Many were not able to take the SAT or ACT in the spring, and they weren't able to, the testing locations canceled, they weren't able to get the tests they needed. This bill makes sure that our institutions can look at other measures and that they don't penalize any students simply because the pandemic made it impossible for them to take the ACT or SAT. This pandemic has been rough enough on our students. This bill will help ease the path for next year's rising seniors, and I want to welcome Representative Kipp.
Thank you everybody for being here today. It is such a great thing to get this bill passed. Really what we're going to be able to do is for those students who graduate high school next year, who this year have lost the opportunity to be able to take the ACT, the SAT, we're going to allow our colleges and universities, our public colleges and universities in Colorado to not require them to have a test score. So we think that's really important. I think there's more work to do in this area in the future, but we're really happy to get this done today. So thank you for everybody who came in on this bill with me.
Thank you, Governor, and proud to sponsor this bill with my colleague, Representative Kipp. And yes, it only makes sense as the governor said, it's been tough enough for students out there to not be able to qualify to get into school because of not being able to access those tests. So yeah, this just gives the flexibility, the higher education that they need to do the job. So anyway, very worthy bill, something we ought to do as good government. So thank you, Governor.
Well, I don't want to take up too much time, but I do want to point out that this bill really became necessary because of COVID and responding to the fact that many of our juniors and seniors this spring just were not able to participate in those SAT and ACT assessments like normal. And so it just would make sense then that we would recognize the situation that they are in and then make allowances for that. So we're very excited that you are here today and that you're going to be signing this bill.
Thanks so much to all of you for being here, and I truly am delighted to be a part of this bill as well. Our institutions have some flexibility now in that they don't need to require a test score for application and admission process, which is great, but it's also wonderful for our students and to relieve them of that pressure. I can only imagine what some of those students were going through when test dates were canceled in the spring. I doubt there's much of that going on this summer. It's hard to know what might happen to fall test dates as well. So this just gives some flexibility for that process going forward for their admission. And not only next fall, for the fall of 2021, but students that graduate in the spring of 21 will have that to carry in their back pocket no matter when they apply for admission going forward in our institutions of higher ed. So I'm really pleased to have worked with my colleagues on this bill, and I want to thank Governor Polis also for signing this and giving this opportunity to move forward concerning our pandemic, restrictions this year. So thanks so much.
Let's do it. Let's make it the law. Ready? And it's official. Congratulations. Congratulations.
So our next bill is about college credit for work experience, helping Coloradans get ahead for the skills, the knowledge they gain through working. I want to thank Representative McLaughlin, Baisley, Senator Zenziger, Senator Story. I'm so happy to sign this bill. It'll help encourage completion, which is so important. And non-traditional students learn a lot in the real world. Sometimes they call it the school of hard knocks. And this will help make sure that some of that can be ported over. It creates a council that makes it easier for students to actually get credit for what they learn doing their jobs, and that includes an on-site training, job training, and through actually doing their jobs. It makes a degree or certificate more achievable by recognizing the knowledge that people gain in their work, including their workforce training. I want to thank all the institutions and partners that worked on this bill. We're looking forward to working with the council to continue to make Colorado a leader in making sure that work experience can lead to transferable.
An interim committee, actually, but it actually, the idea started way before then. It turns out that we just got to be the team that got it across the finish line, because this has been an idea that has been in the making for years. And the reason why it percolated up through an interim committee is that the focus of this interim committee was looking at ways that we can make post-secondary education more attainable. And this bill helps with that because it helps with the cost of higher education. If you can earn some credit through skills that you already know and have, then that actually helps you pay for college. It prevents you from having to pay for classes that you don't need to take. And you can actually earn some of that credit, and then it actually helps you get to your credential or across the finish line all that quicker. And so I'm really pleased that our committee was able to take up this bill. It had to be voted on by the whole committee. And it was one of our priority bills. And I want to thank my colleagues that served on that committee. And I know a couple of them are going to also be making some remarks here. But I'm super pleased that we were actually able to get this across the finish line. So thank you.
Story.
Thank you, Governor. I'm Tammy Story, and I was the chair. I was honored to be the chair of the Making Higher Education Attainable Interim Committee last year. And as mentioned by Senator Zenzinger, we really did have a great collaborative effort working on a number of bills to bring forward from that committee, and this was one of them. So it actually was in the pipeline before COVID hit back in March when we took a recess, and I'm really delighted that we were able to go ahead and move forward and get to this point today to be signed by the governor. Clearly, this is an opportunity for individuals who have been at work in their career field and have decided at some point along the way that a degree could be beneficial to them to help make their life more sustainable and bring in additional revenue that can help them in their own life or with their family. And so this provides that opportunity for them to turn all that work time into credit hours and move forward with a degree in a more expeditious fashion. So really delighted to have this opportunity to help Coloradans be able to move forward, especially at this time when we have so many economic pressures. So thanks again, Governor, for your support of this bill, and I look forward to being able to put this into action.
Thank you. And we have Kelly Caulfield from Colorado Succeeds to say a few words on this bill. Kelly, thanks for joining us.
Coming with two here.
Yes,
Hi.
indeed.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. We just wanted to express our thank you. We're a coalition of business leaders dedicated to improving education, and we really see this policy as a game changer for post-secondary credential attainment in the state of Colorado for our current high school students to really validate that work-based learning that they are doing, plus validating members of the current workforce. And I wanted to thank, we have two board members here, Edie Son from Pinnacle Assurance and Jill Pennick from J.E. Dunn, who both testified in support of this bill. There were over 200 business and civic leaders that supported this legislation, and a big thanks to our 4 bill sponsors, CareerWise Colorado, and many other partners, the governor and the Department of Higher Education for getting this across the finish line. Thank you so much.
Let's make it the law of Colorado. Sponsors want to join? What? Oh, we have another one? What's that? Did you want to speak on this, Noel? I didn't have you down, but you're welcome to. Thanks, Noel Ginsburg, for your work on this bill.
Well, thanks, Governor. This, in addition to what everyone has just said, for those young people that take part in youth apprenticeship, what it makes possible is for them, obviously, to gain credit for that learning that happens in the workplace, but then to make college more affordable. As we have just completed the first 3 years of our first cohort of apprentices, many of them, some of them at Pinnacle Assurance, are in the process of getting their AS degree, and even beyond that, because Pinnacle is willing to help them with that tuition. At Intertech Plastics, my company, we have done the same thing, helping one of our young apprentices who does automation engineering get his engineering degree, paid for by Intertech. And we're not doing it because we're good guys, frankly, although we are. We're doing it because it's smart for our business. Developing young engineers into seasoned professionals will make our company stronger. So for all the businesses out there that are able to participate in a foundational initiative like Youth Apprenticeship, or are hiring apprentices or adults or just someone in career transition later in life, this bill will help enable them to get their credentials. So Governor, and for the legislators that help make this possible, thanks. Makes a difference.
I wanted to say one more quick thing. Representative Barbara McLaughlin is not here today. She represents the Durango area, and that's a little bit of a trek. But she carried this bill the first year when it was unsuccessful. And I know that she poured her heart and soul into this bill, and so I just wanted to acknowledge her. And I'm so sorry for making you stand out there in the hot sun, but I felt it was really important that we also attribute this bill's success to Representative McLaughlin, because I know it was very important to her.
Official, there you go. Okay, send that to Barb. That's great. You have a little more.
So this bill is really nice and simple. It's nice to have a simple bill sometimes. I want to thank Representative Tatone, Representative McLaughlin, Senator Zenzinger. You see there's a pattern here, and thank you, Senator Zenzinger, and Senator Rankin. This bill very simply makes sure that a student's transcript does not have to include the SAT or ACT score. Some colleges and universities have a test optional policy. That means if the student applies, they don't have to have their SAT or ACT score on their transcript. This facilitates that. It's in line with the way the world already works and the way the college admissions process in many private and some public institutions also works. So I want to thank the representatives and senators for their work, and we'll turn it over to Senator Zenzinger.
So this bill actually came to me from a constituent. And this same constituent wrote to myself and to Representative Tatone and said, you know what, my daughter is more than a test score. And I am worried that if her test score is placed on her transcripts, that colleges and universities will only see her as that test score. And she's more than that. And so the question became, well, why is it on there? Does it make sense to have that on there? Because your high school transcript is supposed to reflect your high school work, not necessarily how well you do on a test. And so we acknowledged that since colleges and universities have lots of different types of admission requirements, it just didn't make sense. The reason it ended up there in the first place is because when we went through the legislative process of restricting and slimming down the amount of testing that our students were doing, we replaced our statewide assessment with the SAT. And so before, we used to put the statewide assessment score on the transcripts, and so we just continued that when we transitioned to the SAT. So this was just a common sense idea that came to us from our constituents, and we're really glad that we're going to be able to get it across the finish line. And thank you, Governor, for signing it today.
Make it official. Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I'll take Rep Tatone.
That's good. Thank you.
This bill, Representative Baisley, the name is not the sexiest name. It's called Definition of State Agency for SIPA. But it actually is an important bill because it expands the definition of state agency for the statewide internet portal to include executive, judicial, legislative, higher ed. And it's important that when all the services are delivered online, especially during the COVID epidemic and beyond, we want to ensure the state's website is really up to speed so we can continue to serve the people of the state. I want to thank Senator Todd, Senator Tate, Representative Tatone, and Representative Baisley. We'll turn it over to Representative Baisley.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you again, Governor. I apologize for the name, Governor. We will work on sexiness as a new criterion from now on going forward. So, what this does is it allows more government agencies at a smaller level across the state to leverage the incredible service that are provided, the internet web portal services that are provided by the State Internet Portal Authority. So they do an incredible job. They rarely rely on general funds, out of the general fund of the state. So they are funded almost exclusively on credit card purchases. So they just get their skim off credit card purchases when someone is buying a license online or for fishing and whatever. So they process over $1 billion a year for many districts across the state, municipalities, and so on. And this expands that and allows a whole lot of others to legally make use of this incredible service. So another good government move, and proud to be a sponsor on that. And this came out of committee. And my colleague, Senator Tate.
Thank you. SIPA is a quasi-independent government agency. They do a great job for municipalities, local government, as well as for everyday Coloradans. And it's one of those things where we're making things easier, not harder. What's wrong with that? Let's keep on doing those kinds of things. Thank you, Governor, for your support of SIPA.
It's official. Here we go. Senator Todd isn't with us. Senator Todd. Okay. There we go. We'll get this to Senator Todd.
Okay, great.
Okay.
The next bill, I want to thank Representative Michaels and Janae, who we were just with signing her bill around Holocaust education and genocide education as well. And she's a real champion of behavioral health in the legislature, along with Representative Tatone, Senator Todd, and Senator Heisey. You know, Colorado's confronting a youth mental health crisis, and this legislation will improve our response. This bill helps kids in schools by making sure that as part of their training, teachers get training on behavioral health as part of that process. Many do, but not all do. This will make sure that they all do. And we know that we have a long way to go to ensure that we do the best possible job of supporting the whole child in our schools. And this step brings us closer to the day when we can provide every child with the support they need. I want to thank the sponsors and the advocates for helping to improve the mental health of Colorado's kids. And we'll turn it over to Representative Michaels and Janae.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. It was fun chasing you here from Hilltop. There was an accident, and we did stop to make sure you weren't in it.
Oh, good.
You were not. This bill is critically important, and it actually came out of the work that the School Safety Interim Committee, which my colleague Representative Van Winkle and I served on, and I was honored to serve as the chair. But we were only allowed to have 5 bills come out, and this bill, we decided we would just put aside and still run the bill. And it came out of the teachers who testified in front of each committee hearing and said, we just want more. We want more education, we want more knowledge, and we're not asking you to turn us into psychologists or psychiatrists, because that is not their job, and that is not our job. But this gives them more information on how to manage a classroom full of individuals who have different mental health needs. And as we come back from COVID, more than ever before, we're going to need to understand, how do we deal with the trauma that our youth have faced in not being in school, in being in uncertain circumstances, perhaps with parents who are ill or stressed or lost their jobs. So I'm very grateful for this bill. I'm grateful for the efforts and supports of all of the teachers and the school communities and the mental health community and Mental Health Colorado for coming together to make this, and of course, for the governor for signing it and making it law.
Official, there you go.
Thank
Congratulations.
I should say we say the best for last, but all these bills are great. They're all great. So we're really excited. The bipartisan collaboration around workforce development, around kids, around behavioral health, around obtaining college, around being admitted to college. All great bills. I want to thank Representative Tatone, Representative Van Winkle, Senator Bridges, and Senator Lundeen for their great work on this bill. This helps improve access to Safe to Tell. That helps children and communities stay safe. Safe to Tell makes sure that students and parents and communities can report information if they are in danger. Calls are answered 24 hours a day. If a child feels threatened by a caretaker or guardian, they can speak out without fear of retaliation or embarrassment or labeling. It's really a safe place to call when they see things that threaten themselves or others, or just need somebody to talk to. This bill enhances Safe to Tell by focusing on marketing and educational materials for school-age children. It ensures that people calling with behavioral health issues can be channeled to the right person to talk to that can help them. And I want to thank the sponsors for their work on this bill. And we'll begin with Representative Van Winkle.
Thank you, Governor. My sincere thanks to you for your influences on the School Safety Committee, and also to Mental Health Colorado and the chair of the School Safety Committee, Representative Daphne Michaels Janae. Her and I put hundreds of hours literally last year after the terrible shooting in Highland Ranch into doing what we could to make schools a safer place. And this bill, and Safe to Tell, gives Coloradans a safe and anonymous way to help someone who is struggling or hurting. Students will often use Safe to Tell to report bullying, threats, sexual misconduct, harassment, violence, or suicidal behaviors. And this bill will help prevent teen suicide and will stop school violence. So thank you to all.
Thank you. Good job.
And I know that I do not look like I am Representative Tatone. Good call, I am not. But with the way that things worked after COVID, some of the bills got killed that maybe shouldn't have gotten killed. And this was our bill when it was House Bill 1005. And with gratitude to Representative Titone, she said, okay, we can work together to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. You know, when Representative Van Winkle said we spent hundreds of hours, he was not kidding. And one of the main things we looked into was Safe to Tell is known around the country as one of the best tools in the nation for keeping students and schools safe. But some of the other states had done some advancements on our work. And so we brought back all of the advancements that other states did, and we said, no, don't worry, we're still going to be the head of the pack when it comes to Safe to Tell. And with the incredible partnership of our Attorney General's office, Phil Weiser, and his team, we have the bill that you see before you, and of course the support of Mental Health Colorado. Thank you, Governor.
Let's make it official. It's official. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
And I want to again thank Senator Rachel Zenzinger for her work on these bills. And I want to thank Red Rocks Community College for hosting us. Everybody stay safe. And thanks for making higher education more achievable for more kids and our schools a bit safer. Thank you.
Thank you.